Okay, no pain, no gain. So your claim you're making is, which I think you're dead wrong about, right, is that it's effortless. Now, I completely laud, you know, the effortlessness of kind of correcting a mistake, and that's beautiful. But again, no pain, no gain. There must be a place where it's hard for you. But it's true for everybody. There must be a place that's hard for you to own you were wrong. And the question is, what's that place? Can we own that place? I want to say three things. That's number one. But where's the place that's actually hard? It's actually not easy. You actually got to kind of work at it, that you're actually invested in something in your identity. You have to give up something of your identity, you know, in order to actually say I was wrong. So that's my first question. Where's the no pain, no gain place? I reject, in a loving adversarial way, the idea that everything's effortless for you and that you're an exception to the room and rule of no pain, no gain. That's one. Two, the difference between, you know, our talk radio show and the internet, you know, is very simple. I'll give you an example. You know, about a week ago, I got an email from someone who said, hey, I saw this post about you called On the Trail of Mordecai Gafni's Lies, right? Now, that post was done 3 years ago by Luke Ford, a friend of yours, right? The information was inaccurate. You've actually corrected the information, but that old post remains, right? And it's almost impossible for someone to actually, and that's why the internet is a new ethical ground that we haven't all figured out yet, right? We're all trying to figure it out together, right? There's a real question, because old posts with wrong information by anybody, by you or anyone else, actually remain even after they're corrected. And the question is, you know the famous thing in Judaism about, you know, slander, right? You know, it's, you know, you shoot, you know, you take a feather pillow, you know, you break the feather pillow open, go collect the feathers. You know, and that's the butterfly effect in physics. So, I mean, thank God I'm doing well, you're doing well. So let's talk about other people. But the second you put something out that's actually inaccurate, you or anyone else, let's not make it even about you, well, it's actually there, and the nature of the internet is that it remains there forever, right? And you actually can't control, right, the nature of blogging. So minimally, that creates huge, huge heightened responsibility, more than a newspaper. You remember that expression, Luke, that, you know, today's headline is tomorrow's fish wrapping? The old Yiddish expression. That's not true on the internet, right? Today's headline's tomorrow's, you know, record on the internet. And so that just creates an entirely new ethical context. And minimally, you know, whatever the answer to the questions are, they're real. Those are real questions.
Look at this slope here.
Oh my
Either
God.
one of us, I'm actually in a more vulnerable position because I'm right on the edge. So Marc right now could throw me down that slope, and it'd be a very painful ride.
God forbid. Oops, Luke Ford slipped. It was really sad. We were there doing an interview, and he, you know, no pain, no gain. You know, he couldn't quite own his, you know, mistakes there, and I was left with no choice but, you know, no, God forbid. God forbid.
May I respond?
Please.
So the blog post on the trail of...
Please do be careful.
So the blog post, there was once this very funny story of a skier who had to do a number 2, relieve herself, and so while she had to, you know, pull down her pants, and somehow she got unglued, so she ended up skiing down the mountain with her pants around her ankles.
There's an image.
So that image is just coming to my mind right now. Could we try and control the images that we're sharing here on, you know, some level of a... This is a great image. Like, you could imagine how you could... We're right on the edge here, so... We're on the edge. If I slipped and fell while I'm doing this interview about lofty moral issues, 2 seconds later I could be sliding down the mountain, looking like a total fool. So the context for the blog post entitled On the Trail of Marc Gafni's Lies was that in many online biographies, Marc had that he was an Oxford Fellow, and so that's what I was challenging. Was Marc an Oxford Fellow? And so I emailed all the members of the Jewish Studies Department at Oxford saying, is Marc an Oxford Fellow? Does he lecture at Oxford? Watch out, this car. See, this is a good example, right? I was actually giving a graduate seminar at Oxford at the time, right? 1,000%. But what remains is, right, and it's when you become the self-appointed kind of freelance journalist, that's fine.
What remains is a post on the trail of Mordechai Gafni's lies. Now, at this point, that post is funny. You know, it's funny, it's cute, it's whatever it is. But I'm trying to look at the broader issue here. And here again, I'm challenging you again is are you able to say, right, and here's my big challenge, I was wrong. Like, are you able to actually do that? No pain, no gain. Can you just say, no explanation, no rationalization, hey, I was off on that one?
But I wasn't there. You weren't an Oxford Fellow. There aren't Oxford Fellows.
But we don't even know what an Oxford Fellow is. In other words, the person who was my assistant at that time, right, you know, who was writing the bio, called him an Oxford Fellow, right? You know, I have no idea even what that is. You know, Shmuley Boteach calls himself the rabbi of Oxford University. You know, Oxford Fellow was just a term that my assistant used, right? I didn't even know what it was. And as soon as, actually, you emailed, I think it was Norman Solomon, he sent me an email that said, you know, you're using the term Oxford Fellow. I said, where are we using it? He said, in this bio. We went and changed it. So in other words, so it was a very innocent thing, but what appears on the internet is on the trail of Mordechai Gafni's lies. Again, you know, we can be light about it now because it has no effect. And on the other hand, you know, it's actually a really heavy, serious thing to do. You know, in terms of the laws of speech, you know, whoa, you know, like, and I'm kind of pushing you here, Brother Luke, to say like, whoa, like, can you just like, it's an easy one, can you just say, yo, maybe I messed up on that one.
But I didn't. I was tracking something. There was a false presentation of you. Right. Now, lies may be strong.
It's very strong, right? On the trail of Mordechai Gafni's lies. And I just want you to notice here, okay, and we're doing kind of public therapy on the air here. Right. Look at your resistance. Right? Just look at your resistance. And it's like, yeah, maybe. Buddy, it was a mistake by an assistant. We changed immediately. And the trail of Mordechai Gafni's lies remains immediately. And look how hard it is when it matters to actually just say, hey, I fucked up.
But I didn't. I was exactly right.
I rest my case.
Okay, so we're both resting our cases there for the jury of our audience.
Blessings. Look at that, man. We both agree that's beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, let's just stop here for a second.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, I want to give you last word. Any last word on this particular?
Last word is just an invitation. Just like I invite myself, you know, I invite you. But actually, it's the place where it's not effortless, where it's actually hard, and we reach down inside. You know, it's a place when we're in a fight with our partner, or a husband, or a wife, or a close friend, and it's actually hard to reach down inside and actually pull something out and say, oh my God, I just messed up. And that's actually the Jewish idea, that the first step of transformation, of tshuva, is hakarat hachet, recognizing the mistake. And I used to read that in my Maimonides, and I would say, why is that a step? Of course, that's like easy. You know, the hard part is to regret it, to have a commitment to the future. And as I got older, I realized actually that the simple, direct, unabashed, no but, no if, no and, right, that's the hard movement. Now, but, if, and and is important, right? And we need context, and context is important. But for all of us, you know, for me, for Luke, for Barack Obama, you know, for John McCain, bless him in the next part of his career, you know, just say, you know, oh, and that's where basically I want to just give you know, finish with a tip of the hat to John McCain. John McCain went on the David Letterman show. Remember that? When John McCain had missed a David Letterman interview and had apparently called David Letterman and basically lied, you know, and told him, I can't quite make your interview for this and that reason, and then wound up doing an interview with someone else like in the same day, and Letterman's like furious, and only in America, right? He's kind of bashing him all over the place. And McCain comes on the show a week later, and Letterman says, what'd you do? And attacks him, and McCain looks at him and says, I screwed up. And I said, oh my God, I love John McCain, right? And because here you got this, he's a presidential candidate, and he basically said, you know, he had a million, he's got a great strategy team. He could have explained 5 reasons, which would have made perfect, cogent sense. But he actually said, actually messed up. And at that moment, actually, John McCain was actually really real. It was a really, you know, real and beautiful moment. You know, for all of us, you know, we all have to have spiritual attainment. We all have to work. We can't use saying I messed up as an excuse for not, you know, exerting enormous effort to grow in the world and the pleasure of growth. And if we mess up, we mess up. And we embrace it, we learn from it, we make the best restitution we can. You know, very, very few people make restitution. When people make a false accusation, when they attack someone, it's very hard for them to climb down the tree, right? Because people can't say, hey, I messed up, didn't check. But if we could just do that and own our goodness and not let it plug into our sense of being primarily bad, it would be a huge step in our personal evolution and the evolution of society. Yo.